So, 2 months ago, I gave up alcohol. Yeah. Let's talk about that, shall we? Let me put you down. So, strap in, find out where the monitor. So, what led to me suddenly just deciding to give up on alcohol? Well, a number of factors. First of all, I don't get hangovers, so having a hangover just was never really a problem for me. Probably haven't had like a proper good hangover for about 10 years, and so that was never really an incentive to quit. My biggest problem was memory loss. Even though I wasn't having hangovers, I'd wake up in the morning not really remembering how I got home. I'm going to go back to a point where I used to manage a bar and would actually ring up one of my colleagues and ask her if we actually locked up before we left. That's kind of when I started to realise that this memory loss thing was becoming a problem. More recently, I met a friend for a drink on a Sunday afternoon. And she started talking about a conversation we'd had the night before at a bar called El Camion, which is a bar that most bartenders in London will go to after work because it has a late license. And you can tend to be walking out of there around like 4:30, 5 o'clock because lock-ins and all that kind of shit. Anyway, I told her that I didn't know what she was talking about, and she proceeded to explain, we was at El Camion, we talked about this, and I was like, no we didn't, that was the previous week, it was last week. She was, no, it was last night. And I was confused. I started to then think about the night before. I remembered being at work at around midnight, and then I remember being on the phone to her about 5 o'clock in the morning. So that's a 5-hour loss of memory. Anyway, back to work the following Wednesday, I think it was, and I asked one of the guys I work with, who most likely would have also been at El Camion. So I asked him, did we go to El Camion the weekend? He said yes. I told him that I don't remember it, and I don't remember anything from midnight to 5 a.m, and his response was that I seemed fine. And that can come off in a number of ways, right? At least I wasn't fucking dragging on the floor, puking my guts out, not having any fucking clue what I'm doing. The point is that I seemed absolutely fine, and yet don't fucking remember a thing. So that kind of made me feel weird about that. That's when I started to think to myself, right, I need to get this boozing on hand. I need to sort it out. So my way of doing that was to water down the whiskey. Now there is other reasons for watering down whiskey, so you can taste it, so you can play with it, so you can get the aromas and all that kind of bullshit. And that's what master distillers do, right? They water their whiskey down to about 20%, and they go from there. So I tried to do that, tried to redevelop my palate. That lasted one day. The following day, at work, I had a beer quite early on, and it just got worse. That was always my problem with alcohol. It wasn't the fact that I always needed to have it. It's the fact that when I started, I found it very difficult to just turn it off, to just stop. Once I'd had a beer or a glass of whiskey, I'd just refill the glass and go again. And it would be continuous. The glass would never really be empty for very long. I've always had a pretty decent tolerance for alcohol, and the memory loss has been something that has been, I don't know, the last few years, last 2-3 years at least. Anyway, that happened. Get back to work the next day, and one of the owners, who was a very good friend of mine, asked me if I was okay. I said, yeah, fine. Why? What's up? He said that I got so fucking shit-faced on shift working the bar that he almost kicked me out of the bar. I replied with, didn't really feel like I had drunk that much, and to be honest, I didn't remember drinking that much. I didn't remember getting to a point where I was drunk. I don't remember being drunk. I don't remember going through the phase of being drunk and then being shit-faced. So I started trying to remember at what point did the memory stop, and I couldn't honestly think of any specific time. I just remember arriving, being at work, and then being at home. So again, a massive gap in my memory. And that was that would have been a Friday night. So on Saturday, I went to work and I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. So I didn't drink the entire shift. I had a few beers after work. And I thought, right, that's it, I'm done. I went home, fell asleep, woke up on Sunday. Thought about what I'd thought about the night before, about giving it up. And I thought about this for a whole day. And the weird thing is like, thinking about this, the idea of giving up alcohol. I've been drinking alcohol for more than 30 years. I'm 47 this year. And the idea of not drinking it, especially in England, and it's definitely, drinking is definitely part of the culture here. You know, it's almost like a rite of passage. You drink in your 20s, you try to determine your limits. I never did. I just drank until I fucking couldn't drink anymore, until I ran out of money or ran out of booze. But now it's like, I'm just done with it. Just got so fucking done with it. When you get to a point where you can't remember what you did the night before, not because you were excessively shit-faced, but because you had a few beers. And you just don't recall those memories anymore. But what's the fucking point? What's the point in trying to go out and have a good time with friends and whatnot, and then not remember it because I had a few beers? So I decided to stop. Now, because of the nature of my job, I'm a bartender in a whiskey bar, part-time. I felt like I should probably not quit outright, because I need to taste the whiskey. I know that sounds like an excuse, but it's actually the fucking truth. I need to know what this shit tastes like so I can sell it. So that's what I did. I went 99% sober. I stopped drinking for the most part. If this cuts off, it's because the battery died. And yeah, I would drink 3 or 4 tiny little tasters. We're talking like 5 millilitres, just to get an idea of what the whiskey tastes like. And of course, only whiskies that I've never had before as well, so I can get an idea of what they taste like, so I can sell them to customers, guests, whatever. And then move on. Now, I think the reason why I haven't had any cravings or felt like I need alcohol is because I changed my relationship with alcohol. Before, it was just something you did to have fun and enjoy yourself, and you know, you got mates around and whatnot. I changed my relationship with alcohol. I decided that alcohol was more of a poison, not great for my body. Now I'm on various different diets. I've been testing them out, trying to find optimal diets for myself. I've got a fitness plan. I'm trying to be healthy. I'm trying to get fit. I'm trying to elevate my mind by reading philosophy. And yet I still consume alcohol. It doesn't make any sense. I've always joked that, you know, my body's not a temple, it's a beer garden, but I need to re-establish that. And so that's what I did. I changed my relationship with alcohol. And that relationship is that alcohol is a poison that I don't want in my body anymore. It's just as bad or worse than eating sugar. Cocaine, heroin, fucking methamphetamines, whatever you want. So that's what I did. And ever since I made that change, it's been easy. It sounds stupid, but it has actually been easy. I've not struggled with it at all. I'm actually only 2 months in. I'm expecting the penny to drop and this to get really difficult, especially when the weather changes, it gets warmer. Typically, as the weather gets warmer, you want to sit outside in the garden, drink a beer. That's always been the tradition, right? But no, I'm waiting for that to happen. Yeah, can't wait. Awesome. Anyway, the other thing I did about 2 weeks in, I told all of my colleagues that I hadn't had a drink in 2 weeks. And they were all shocked. Some of them were thinking, I had noticed that you hadn't been drinking, but hadn't said anything, because maybe I had, they just hadn't seen it. When you tell people that you're not drinking, and their reaction isn't the typical English reaction, which is, if you're not drinking alcohol, that if you're not drinking alcohol, there's something wrong with you. Their reaction was the complete opposite of that. Their reaction was of congratulations, like, well done, continue. How long are you going to do this for? To answer that question, I have no set time. I'm taking it one day at a time. And that's another thing. Take it one day at a time. Wake up, don't drink. Wake up, don't drink. That's as simple as that. Don't put that poison in your body. 2 months in. I've been telling as many people as possible as well, especially in the bar industry. People, guests that are regulars at my bar who know me, who have known me for years. I've told them, and every time they come in, they're like, "You still sober? Well done, mate. Congratulations." And I do that not because I'm trying to brag, but because what I want is accountability. It's that simple. Make the decision, decide that there is something wrong, you don't want to do it anymore because it's bad for you. Change your relationship with it. It's a poison. It's not a social fucking thing. It's not something you do to alleviate social anxiety. It's just the poison that you put in your body. Thirdly, accountability. Make sure as many people as possible know what you're doing and hold you accountable to it. Because you respect these people, you don't want to let them down by then drinking. Yeah. Anyway, 2 months. Yeah. Let's see how far we can take this without it becoming a problem. Yay, spring and summer. Anyway, I'm going to sign off. Take it easy.